guys, Scott Allen from On Target Training and Consulting, coming here from my dining room. After the events of this week, where we reportedly have a airman of the Global Strike Command who has passed away due to the fact that the Sig P320 reportedly went off in his holstered gun and struck him in the chest, killing him. I felt I needed to come forward and put my 2 cents in as to what I think is going on and what my stance is on the Sig P320. A little background. When Sig came out with the P250, I thought it was a wonderful idea, cutting edge. Having a fire control system that can move from frame to frame, different size slides and barrels. You can just move them around and have the same trigger pull on all of them. And depending on what kind of state you're in, you didn't have to go get another permit to get yourself multiple handgun configurations. I thought it was a wonderful idea. Then it came out, and it turned out to be an utter disaster. It was a quality control issue. I have friends that were with the Federal Air Marshal Service who brought them to the range, and they just wouldn't fire. Some of them wouldn't even chamber around. They were so far out of spec. So Sig went back and did a redesign. They decided that, looking around the marketplace, that a double action only trigger is not what the market was asking for. The market was asking for a striker fire, a la Glocks, the M&P, the FNS, all those examples there. So they redesigned and came out with the 320. Again, I thought it was a wonderful idea. Cutting edge. Being able to switch things around and to modify the gun to whatever you're used to doing, but having the same trigger, it was a great idea. Sig went in and entered the military's modular handgun competition and came away with the contract. The only difference between the civilian Sig P320 was some alterations as far as finishes goes. The military wanted a thumb safety on the guns and some different optic mounting systems. Shortly after that, we started hearing about the fact if you dropped the Sig 320 at a certain angle, it would go off. It wasn't drop safe. Sig then came out with their voluntary upgrade system. Wasn't really happy with that. I thought it should have been recall. But hey, listen, if you didn't want to change your gun, you liked it the way it was, Sig you had a gun. If you felt that you wanted to make the change so that there was not a safety issue, Sig would then do the voluntary recall. My company, during my day job, we took the stance that we did not approve the Sig P320 for service. The reason was we're a small organization. There wasn't that many people out there with them. We did not have an armorer who could go through the gun, make sure the recall had been done. Or I'm sorry, not a recall, an upgrade. And for liability reasons, we made the decision not to allow the 320 as duty weapon. So, and I didn't give it much thought after that. I started hearing things about guns going off in holsters. Sig was then blaming that on the officer in charge playing with the gun. Keys got involved. Holsters were involved. It wasn't the gun. The gun couldn't go off without the trigger being pulled and held back. Still wasn't worried about it because we weren't having any. Then I had 2 guys apply for a position. They both had Sig 320s. So then I did a deep dive into the situation. I can't tell you the number of hours of video I watched of guns going off in holsters without any interaction from the officer. explanations on how the SIG system works, how it shouldn't happen, all the safeties are involved, that the only way that gun should go off is by having the trigger pulled to the rear. Yet here we are, I'm watching all these guys and ladies, the guns are going off in their holsters, resulting in leg injuries, sometimes life-altering injuries, and they weren't interacting with the gun. They had things in their hands. They were climbing in and out of their cruisers, things of that nature. There's a lot of videos out there you really couldn't see what's going on, but there was plenty out there that you could see what was going on, where the people's hands were, and that gun going off in the holster. So now we have an airman who's lost his life, supposedly, due to the fact that a holstered Sig 320 went off. It was holstered. He went into the break room, into the ready room, whatever they would call it. It was in a safari land where you detached the holster from the belt, so you didn't have to take the belt off. He set it down on a desk. The gun went off and hit him in the chest and killed him. Still don't know what everything's going on. A couple of weeks ago, we had the FBI come out with a report on a Michigan State Police M18 that went off in a gentleman's holster. The Michigan State Police immediately put the gun in an evidence box, didn't even unload it. Everything was in the evidence box and shipped it in another of their brand new Sig M18s off to the FBI ballistics lab for testing. Tell us what's wrong. Well, the FBI has issued their report. They found they could make the gun go off without the trigger being pulled. They pointed out where there were quality control issues with parts being out of spec. There was, I believe, if I remember right, there was some uneven wear on the sears and like that, and where a piece might have chipped off on the sear on the gun that's in question having gone off in the holster. Again, the guy standing in the patrol room, other items in his hand, wasn't playing with the gun, other officers around him to see what all happened, and the gun went off. I have to agree with Sig. The way the gun's designed, if the design is executed correctly, there are plenty of safeties to keep that gun from going off without the trigger being held to the rear. I'm somewhat a little bit mechanically inclined. I've turned wrenches for a living as well. I know how things work mechanically. I've worked on guns. This should not happen. But for some reason, the striker is slipping the sear. The secondary safety sear is not catching it. And the sear safety block, so the striker safety block is not preventing it from firing. I personally think it's tolerance stacking, quality control. My personal opinion, I'm not an engineering expert. Take it as you will. What I do say is this is happening. Sig has 100 lawsuits against it due to the fact that guns going off supposedly uncommanded. Some of them they won, some of them they lost, and there's still plenty of them going. What I will tell you is you're not hearing these stories from M&Ps. Nobody's blaming an M&P on the holster going off because of the holster or the guy playing with it or whatever. You're not hearing a lot of that. Same thing with Glock. Same thing with FN. In fact, when Glock and Smith & Wesson had problems and FN had problems with the gun, for whatever reason, they immediately addressed it, issued a recall, fixed the problem, and moved forward. They took ownership of it, took responsibility. Sig is just pointing at everybody else and saying, not the gun, can't go off on its own, has to be the holster, has to be the officer carrying the gun. Only this hasn't just happened to police officers or military officers, this has happened to civilians on training ranges and like that, the gun's going off. Going forward, On Target Training and Consulting is going to ask you if you want to take one of my classes to leave your Sig P320 at home. Any other Sig product, more than welcome. You got a 365, bring it. You have one of the classic Sig P series firearms, more than welcome, happy to have you. But if you have a 320, leave it at home. If you want to take one of my classes and you have a 320 and nothing else to bring, get a hold of me. I have M&Ps I'm willing to lend you. I have a Glock I'm willing to lend you. I'll give you the magazines. I'll give you the holster. I'll give you the things. Come to my class. You're more than welcome. Happy to have you. Just please leave your 320 at home. Those of you that have 320s and you're not taking any classes or whatever, that's up to you what you want to do. Okay? My suggestion, this is a tool that can severely injure or kill people. We should take an abundance of caution and act safely until such time as SIG comes up and says, okay, mi culpa, my bad, we found the problem, here's the fix, everybody send me back to fire control units or whatever to us so we can fix it. I would restrict the P320 to a range toy, one that I sat there and took off the table, load, fire the drill that I want to shoot, unload it, put it back on the table. I make a comment in my safety briefs when I start a class, the safest place for your gun on the range is in your holster. It doesn't seem to be the case with the SIG. So there you go, guys. That's how I feel about it. I want you to go out there, have fun, train, practice, but most importantly, be safe. Until the next time, this is Scott Allen from On Target Training and Consulting. Take care.